Mom, please, I'm stuck in a meeting I can't leave. Emma's running a fever, and the school nurse called Amai. She needs to be picked up right away. I whispered into my phone, trying not to disturb my colleagues as our quarterly presentation continued in the background. I'm not your babysitter, Amanda. My mother's cold voice cut through the line. I have a lunch date with my book club. Find someone else to handle your emergencies, but you're only 10 minutes from her school, and I'm an hour away. She's sick, Mom. Your granddaughter is sick. Should have thought about that before taking a job so far from her school, she replied dismissively. I raised you without calling my mother every time something went wrong. Maybe it's time you learned to do the same. The line went dead, leaving me fighting back tears of frustration. My name is Amanda Mitchell, and at 34, I was a single mother trying to balance my career as a marketing executive with raising my 10-year-old daughter Emma. My mother had never approved of my divorce 3 years ago, viewing it as a personal failure on my part. Despite my ex-husband's infidelity, I quickly texted my neighbor Sarah, who thankfully agreed to pick up Emma. But my mother's words stung, as they always did. She lived just minutes from Emma's school, spent most of her days at leisure since retiring, yet consistently refused to help with her only grandchild. That evening, after tucking a feverish Emma into bed with medicine and a cool compress, I sat on my couch replaying my mother's words. The same mother who'd posted countless photos on social media about being a proud grandmother had refused to help when her granddaughter actually needed her. Mommy? Emma's weak voice called from her room. Can you bring me some water? I found her curled up under her galaxy print comforter, her brown hair damp with sweat. How are you feeling, sweetheart? My throat hurts, she mumbled. Did Grandma not want to come get me today? My heart clenched. Of course she'd heard about it at school. Grandma was busy today, honey, but Mrs. Sarah came instead, right? Emma nodded slowly. Grandma's always busy when we need her, but she posts about me on Facebook all the time. I saw it on your phone. Even my 10-year-old could see through the facade. Sometimes grown-ups have complicated feelings, Emma, but that doesn't mean you did anything wrong. I know, she said softly. I just wish she loved me for real, not just for pictures. I held her close, feeling her fever through her pajamas. My daughter, wise beyond her years, had just articulated what I'd been feeling for so long. My mother's love was performative, existing only when it suited her image as the perfect grandmother. The next morning, Emma's fever had broken, but I took the day off anyway, not wanting to risk sending her back to school too soon. Around noon, my phone buzzed with a text from my mother. Saw on Facebook that Emma's sick. Hope she feels better. Should I bring soup by? I stared at the message in disbelief. Now that she could post about being a caring grandmother, suddenly she was interested in helping. I showed the text to Emma, who was curled up on the couch watching cartoons. She wants to bring soup now? Emma asked, raising an eyebrow in a perfect imitation of my skeptical expression. Can we say no? You don't want to see Grandma? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Not when she only comes to take pictures for Facebook, Emma replied, turning back to her show. She doesn't really care if I'm sick. She just wants people to think she does. I typed out a response. Thanks, but we're all set. Emma's feeling better already. The reply was immediate. Don't be difficult, Amanda. I'm trying to help. Like you helped yesterday when she needed to be picked up from school, I responded, then turned off my phone. Emma and I spent the rest of the day having a quiet movie marathon, sharing blankets and making hot chocolate. As I watched her laugh at the screen, still a bit pale but feeling better, I realized something important. My daughter didn't need a grandmother who only showed up for the camera. She needed people in her life, who would be there when it really mattered. What I didn't know then was that in 6 months, everything would change. My mother's carefully crafted image of the perfect grandmother would crumble, and Emma would prove just how special she truly was, in a way none of us could have anticipated. Life continued as usual after Emma's sick day incident. My mother kept posting about her precious granddaughter on social media, while consistently being unavailable for any actual grandmothering. Emma learned not to ask about visiting Grandma, and I stopped expecting any help from my mother. Then came the morning that changed everything. I was in the middle of a client meeting when my phone started buzzing repeatedly. Glancing down, I saw multiple missed calls from an unknown number. Finally, a text came through. This is Carol from Silver Springs Community. Your mother collapsed in her garden. EMTs are here. She's asking for Emma. My mother was asking for Emma, not me, her daughter, but Emma, the granddaughter she'd been too busy to help. I rushed to pick up Emma from school, briefly explaining the situation. Grandma's sick, honey. She's asking to see you. Emma looked up from her backpack, her expression serious. Is she really sick, or is this for Facebook? The question hit me hard. Even at 10, Emma had learned to be skeptical of her grandmother's motives. She collapsed in her garden. Sweetheart, this is real. When we arrived at Silver Springs, my mother's retirement community, we found her sitting in her living room with a paramedic. She looked pale and shaken, nothing like the polished image she usually maintained. Emma, she said weakly, reaching out. You came. Emma hung back, holding my hand. Are you okay, Grandma? The paramedic stepped forward. Your mother experienced a severe drop in blood sugar, he explained to me. She's diabetic. I didn't know, I said, looking at my mother in surprise. When did this happen? 6 months ago, she admitted. I didn't want to worry anyone. I've been managing it myself. Managing it yourself, I repeated incredulously. By collapsing in your garden, Mrs. Mitchell, the paramedic interjected. Living alone with uncontrolled diabetes is dangerous. You need someone to check on you regularly, especially since you're not consistently monitoring your blood sugar levels. My mother's face flushed. I don't need a babysitter, she said, using the same words she'd thrown at me months ago. Emma suddenly stepped forward. I know about diabetes, she announced. We learned about it in science class. You need to check your blood sugar and eat at the right times, or you can get really sick. The paramedic smiled at her. That's right. Your grandmother needs to check her levels several times a day and keep a log. I can help, Emma said enthusiastically. I'm good at schedules. I keep track of all my homework and dance classes in my planner. My mother looked taken aback. You want to help me? Emma shrugged. Even though you don't help me when I'm sick, I don't want you to be sick either. The room fell silent. My mother's face crumpled slightly at Emma's honest words. I deserve that, she said quietly. I haven't been a very good grandmother, have I? No, Emma replied simply. But maybe we can both do better now. The paramedic finished his examination and left us with strict instructions for monitoring my mother's condition. As we sat in her living room, the atmosphere felt different. The carefully maintained walls of my mother's perfect image had cracked, revealing something more human underneath. I was afraid, my mother suddenly admitted, of being seen as old, of needing help. I wanted everyone to think I had everything under control, like when you post perfect grandma pictures, but don't actually help, Emma asked innocently. My mother winced. Yes, exactly like that. I've been fooling myself, haven't I? I watched as my daughter pulled out her school planner, flipping to a blank page. Okay, Grandma, let's make a schedule for your blood sugar checks. I can come after school sometimes to help you remember. You'd do that? My mother asked, her voice small. Even after how I've treated you. Emma looked up from her planner. Everyone deserves a second chance. That's what Mom always says. I saw tears form in my mother's eyes as Emma began meticulously writing out a schedule for blood sugar monitoring. My strong, compassionate daughter was offering grace where I might have held on to resentment. But as I watched them work together, I couldn't help but wonder, would this crisis truly change my mother, or would she revert to her old ways once the shock wore off? Little did I know, the real test of our family's transformation was yet to come. The weeks following my mother's collapse brought unexpected changes to our lives. Emma, true to her word, took her role as diabetes helper seriously. She created detailed charts, set reminders on my mother's phone, and insisted on regular check-ins. But the most surprising change was in my mother herself. One afternoon, I received a call from Emma's school. She had a migraine and needed to be picked up. Before I could even start worrying about how to handle it from my office an hour away, my mother called. I'm already on my way to get her, she said. I saw the school's number on the family emergency app. Emma made me download. I sat back in my chair, stunned. You're picking her up? Of course I am, she replied, her voice softer than I'd ever heard it. I'm her grandmother, and Amanda. I'm sorry it took me so long to act like one. When I got home that evening, I found them both in our living room. Emma was asleep on the couch, a cool compress on her forehead, while my mother sat nearby, quietly knitting. She had her medicine at 2:30, my mother whispered, and I made sure she drank water when she could. Did you know she gets these migraines often? I nodded. About once a month. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have helped before? I asked honestly. She looked down at her knitting. No, probably not. I was too caught up in my own image, in what people thought of me. But Emma, she glanced at my sleeping daughter. She showed me what real care looks like. No photos, no social media posts, just being there when someone needs you. 2 months after the garden incident, my mother deleted her Facebook account. I don't need to prove I'm a good grandmother anymore, she explained. I'd rather spend that time actually being one. The real test came during Emma's school play. She had a small role as a tree in A Midsummer Night's Dream, hardly the kind of glamorous event my mother would have previously deemed worthy of her time. Not only did my mother show up, but she arrived early, helped other parents with the costumes, and didn't take a single photo during the performance. I want to watch with my eyes, not through a phone screen, she said. After the play, Emma ran to hug her, still wearing her tree costume. Did you see me, Grandma? Did you see how I didn't move even when the fairy tickled me with her wand? I saw everything, sweetheart, my mother replied, holding her tight. You were the most beautiful tree in the forest. Later that night, as I was tucking Emma into bed, she said something that brought tears to my eyes. Mom, I think Grandma's fixed now, not just her diabetes, but her heart too. Last week, my mother had another diabetic episode, but this time was different. Emma's careful scheduling and monitoring meant we caught the warning signs early. When my mother's blood sugar started dropping, Emma knew exactly what to do, calling me immediately and getting my mother to eat something sweet while we waited for help. The paramedic who came to check on her was impressed. You've got quite a medical assistant here, he said, nodding at Emma. She probably prevented a serious situation. My mother reached for Emma's hand. She saved my life twice, she said. Once with my diabetes, and once by showing me what really matters. Yesterday I found an old photo album at my mother's house. It was filled with the carefully curated social media photos she used to take, all perfectly posed and filtered. Next to it was a new album Emma had helped her start. It was messier, filled with candid shots, Emma helping check blood sugar levels, both of them cooking together, my mother falling asleep during movie night, Emma's slightly blurry tree performance. This one's more real, my mother said, touching the new album gently. Just like our relationship now. Emma hugged her grandmother, and no one on Facebook even needs to know about it. Sometimes it takes a child to teach us the most important lessons in life. My mother learned that real love isn't about appearances or social media likes, it's about showing up, being present, and caring enough to help even when there's no audience to applaud. And Emma, she taught us both that it's never too late to change, to forgive, and to build something real. Sometimes the smallest hearts carry the biggest wisdom, and the most precious moments are the ones that never make it to social media. As for me, I've learned that second chances can come in unexpected ways, and that true transformation often begins with a simple choice, to be there when someone needs you, whether anyone is watching or not.